Thank you so much for watching Landumc Goes There. Please subscribe and hit the like button and the bell notification button. Hal Ashby gave us a comedy drama film from 1973 called The Last Detail. Robert Towne did the screenplay, and it was based on a 1970 novel done by Darryl Penickson. The movie stars Jack Nicholson, Otis Young, Randy Quaid, Clifton James, Nancy Allen, and Carol Kane. The storyline follows two rough and hardened Navy veterans known as Badass Budusky and Mule Mulhall, as they're given the responsibility of escorting a young thief named Meadows to the brig in Portsmouth. Meadows, still in his late teens, is hardly a seasoned criminal. His offense that he's charged with was attempting to steal $40 from a charity associated with the admiral's wife. As a result, he faces 8 years in prison and a dishonorable discharge. Initially, Budusky and Mulhall perceived this assignment as a complete leisure trip, but their enjoyment is soon dampened by the sight of a prisoner on the verge of tears, who's also burdened by an extremely low self-esteem. Budusky decides to take it upon himself to provide Meadows with some enjoyment and life lessons during the trip. The first lesson: do not accept every misfortune that comes your way. He then introduces Meadows into drinking, and as a final touch, arranges for a young woman to teach him about intimacy. Mule, who expresses concern about his standing with military superiors, appears to be satisfied with Meadows' development during their trip. However, upon their arrival in Portsmouth, the reality of the situation abruptly interrupts their brief escapade. Producer Gary Ayers bought the rights to the original novel in 1969. After returning from the set of Drive, She Said, Robert Towne began adapting the novel. He tailored the script for close friends Jack Nicholson and Rupert Cross. But Rupert became terminally ill before filming could ever start, and he was replaced by Otis Young. The producer Ayers sent the script to Robert Altman and then to Hal Ashby. He thought that the picture required a skewed perspective, and he felt like that's something that Hal Ashby had. Ashby was just coming off of the disappointing commercial and critical failure of Harold and Maude, and along with Jack Nicholson's encouragement, decided that the project looked really appealing. But he had a conflict with his schedule. In order to do the film, he would have to pull out of a deal that he had with MGM. Columbia Pictures, who was doing the film, didn't like the director Ashby at all because he had a reputation of distrusting authority, and he made little effort to communicate with studio executives. But the budget for the film was low enough that he got approved to be the director. The U.S. Navy would not allow the director to film on their bases in Norfolk, so the on-base scenes were done in Canada. Screenwriter Towne stated that the main reason that the movie had so much profanity in it was that his view, that's how people talk when they're powerless. And since Budusky and Mulhall don't agree with the sentence that Meadows has been given, and the very fact that they have no legal ways to help him, the screenwriter then tied the film into the then ongoing Vietnam War, saying that everyone hides behind a title in the military, whether you're killing someone in Vietnam or taking a kid to jail. The script was completed in 1970, but it contained too much profanity to be shot as it was written. The studio waited for 2 years trying to get the writer to tone down the language, but instead, by 1972, the standards of foul language relaxed so much that all the profanity was left in it. And there's a bunch of it. The F word is used 65 times in the production. which was a record at the time of its release. Jack Nicholson turned down the role of Johnny Hooker in The Sting to appear in this film, and Robert Redford slid in to be cast in that role in his place. Nicholson and Redford were nominated as Best Actor at the 1973 Academy Awards, but both of them lost out to Jack Lemmon for the movie Save the Tiger. John Travolta was strongly in the running to play Meadows, only losing out to Randy Quaid at the last minute. I have to tell you that Randy Quaid does an outstanding performance as this completely naive soldier. It's hard to believe that while you're watching this, Quaid would go on to be such a comedy character in many of the vacation movies that starred Chevy Chase. Now, this is the feature film debut of actress-comedian Gilda Radner, who portrayed one of the Buddhist chanters. Her character is credited as a Buddhist member. And I have to say that she slipped by me the first time I saw this film. At the film's end, the two seasoned sailors are seen walking from the brig. Their brisk pace and the camera's angle soon discloses an instep march that stems naturally and unconsciously from boot camp training. The only brief moment that they are out of step is when Mulhall steps over a minor obstruction, and soon afterwards Badusky returns them both into an instep march. The entire scene is further enhanced by a marching band's rendition of Anchors Aweigh. Now, this was also the film debut of Nancy Allen, who plays Nancy in the film. The woman badass chats up all night at the party. Now, initially, she was originally offered the part as the young whore, who eventually was played by Carol Kane. But Nancy Allen turned it down because she felt that she would be too nervous to speak while being nude on camera for the first time. She was terrified at the thought of it at this stage of her career. Carol Kane pops in and takes this role and runs with it. And I mean, this is a fairly extended nude scene with a lot of very close-up shots. Carol Kane knocks this role out of the park. And after seeing her in it, I think it was a wise choice to have her play it as opposed to Nancy Allen. Go back and watch this very good film from the early 70s. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll continue to chase the classics.